I kind of forgot how cold it could be down here. So, a quick question. If there was any way to play all your games on any device that you own, anywhere you go, would you be willing to ditch your console? Hey, what's up guys, Justin here. So, this morning I got myself a message in my inbox saying that my Pro subscription to Google Stadia has ended. And basically now I'm paying for it because I didn't pay any attention to it. But after 3 months of use, I hope I can answer if Google Stadia is actually the future of gaming. So in order to talk about Stadia, I feel like I first need to explain what Stadia is exactly, because even though we're months into its life, it amazes me how unclear this apparently still is for some people. To put it simple, no, Google Stadia isn't the Netflix of gaming, but it does have one thing in common. And that is the fact that you don't need beefy hardware to run it. All the rendering, all the computing power, all the processing, it's all done on Google servers, all up there. But unlike Netflix though, you don't pay a set amount a month in order to keep playing all the games that Google Stadia has in their library. Instead, you just pay for them like you would on Steam. Like the PlayStation and Xbox, Stadia also has a premium subscription called Stadia Pro. And with that, you get 4K streams, you get surround sound, and you get exclusive periodic discounts. You also get 2 free games a month, but you can only play those as long as your Stadia subscription is active. But like I said before, it's basically just like Steam. You can also still buy the games that you want to play. The caveat is that you can only play those in full HD when you don't have a Stadia Pro subscription. So you might think, well, that looks great, can I try it out? And the answer is no. At this point in time, the only way to get into Stadia is by buying either a Stadia Founders Edition or a Stadia Premier Edition. And with those editions, you basically get an access code in order to try out Google Stadia Pro. And at this point in time, Google Stadia Base, the free version, isn't online yet. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. So if you did buy the Founders Edition or the Premier Edition, what you'd get is basically a Chromecast Ultra with a Stadia controller. And that Stadia controller looks like something that you get when you combine a PlayStation controller and an Xbox controller together. But it does have some special features. So while it doesn't do that much right now, there is a Google Assistant button on the controller, and when pressed, it activates the microphone on the back of the controller to access special in-game features integrated by developers. But that's what Google says. Right now, you can basically only use it when you're not in-game. So, for example, you can check the weather. Now, the controller feels great as well. It reminds me somehow of the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, but I do feel like the buttons are fairly loud. I mean, listen to this. Yeah? No? I don't know. I think it's hard to tell by the microphone, but it feels absolutely great. There is a problem though, because some people have noticed that the triggers got stuck, and Google is now replacing them with units without certain rubbers. And while that fixes the problem, it also makes the controllers a bit louder. Now, that won't be an issue for me, but for some people that might be. And for those people, I can tell you safely that, well, the beauty of Stadia is that you can use basically any controller. So what I said just now isn't completely true. The only controller that's currently supported to use on the Google Chromecast is this one. And the reason being is that this controller, as the only controller around, connects directly to the internet. And that is, all your inputs are basically directly sent to Google servers in order to minimize the input lag at every stage. So while that is a great way to reduce input lag, there is one downside, and that is battery life. This controller, it only takes like 4 hours to get it completely to zero. Now, with my DualShock 4 controllers that already don't have the best battery life, they last about 3 hours more. So yeah, if you're planning to game a lot, please remember to charge them once in a while. Now, this controller, while connecting through Wi-Fi, also has Bluetooth built in, but currently that's disabled by Google. And the reason being is that they just want to, well, reduce the input lag at every possible stage. Now, if you do want to use this controller with your phone or with your laptop, you'll have to use USB-C. But yeah, just plug it in and it works perfectly. So before I start talking about how well Stadia works, I feel need to disclose a couple of things. Cloud gaming isn't anything new, but it hasn't taken over the world by storm yet, and that has to do with a multitude of different factors. One including your location, your ISP, your internet connection, internet stability. So depending on where you are and what your situation is, basically, the Stadia experience might be working out for you. And in some cases, it might not. So keep that in mind. Me, I'm one of the lucky ones that has a stable internet connection and has a solid gaming experience. I've played the Google Stadia on the Google Stadia. Wow, that makes me sound really old. So I played Google Stadia on both the TV with my Chromecast, and that actually felt like a proper console. And I also played it on my laptop with a browser, and that made me forget I was gaming in a browser. So it all depends on your situation. What I'm experiencing is not something that you should necessarily be experiencing. But yeah, that's just something in between. So visual quality on my Google Chromecast Ultra has been nothing but crisp and clear 4K. But that hasn't been the case with every device. When I switch over to my laptop and play it in my Chrome browser, basically I see a lot of compression going on and some artifacts that even in a Full HD stream just shouldn't be there. Now wait, I know, Full HD, I have Stadia Pro, so naturally I should be able to receive 4K, right? Not the case. 4K at this point in time is only limited to basically the Chromecast Ultra and the Stadia app that only runs on Pixel phones, Samsung devices, and some Razer phones, I believe. But any other device, meaning you have to play through the Chrome browser, is locked to Full HD. So games. I have a lot of games on Stadia, thanks to Stadia Pro. But I mostly played one game, and that is Destiny 2. So Destiny 2 is a game I played a lot on PlayStation 4, so naturally, when Stadia came out, I played a lot of Destiny on Stadia as well. Now, I'll have to say this, visual quality is almost the same. So it could go toe-to-toe with its console counterpart. The thing is, it's 60 FPS. The loading times are way shorter. It's just, when I go back to PlayStation, it feels unbearable. So the footage that you're seeing here isn't completely fair though. I wanted to record everything in 4K, but my capture card downscaled everything to Full HD. It also didn't accept YUV 422, so I had to downscale everything to YUV 420, which meant a significant loss in quality. So whatever you're seeing now isn't the quality that you'd get when you actually play the device on a Chromecast. It looks way better. So anyway, back to Destiny 2, because all these improvements could sway me to drop the PlayStation 4 as my main console I play Destiny 2 on. There are a couple of downsides though, and one of them is the active player base. So ever since the beginning, Destiny 2 was included in every Stadia Pro subscription. So basically the whole Stadia community has Destiny 2 at this point. The thing is, with Destiny, it's not the best game. It's a fun game that I play all the time, but it has some quirks that when new players try Destiny, they get overwhelmed and they quit. And some of the more veteran players that play it a lot, they get bored of it because there isn't anything new to do, or it's too repetitive. So I do get why people stop playing Destiny, but Destiny 2 is also a mix between a shooter and an MMO. Now, I don't have to tell you this, but an MMO survives on being a vibrant world with a lot of other players that you can interact with. But with Stadia, it's just not the case. I mean, a lot of activities in Destiny, they can be done by yourself, but if you want to head over to the more challenging parts, you need to do it in a fire team of 3 people. And if you want to get even deeper in the game, you need like teams of 6. Also for multiplayer, that's 12 if you have like 2 teams of 6. But you need a lot of people in order to play. But right now at Stadia, that's just not the case. Every time I search for a game, I get this message that says, well, there are not enough players, so we're booting you back into the loading screen. It is so frustrating because everything about Destiny 2 on Stadia just ticks the right boxes. It's just such a shame that Stadia doesn't have the player base that a game like Destiny should have. Now, part of it is because of Destiny itself, I know, but a part of it is also because of the way Google launched Stadia. So past November, I believe November 19th, they released Stadia Pro. And it was something interesting. I was interested in it, so I bought myself Stadia Pro a couple of months in advance. The thing is, you cannot get into Stadia in a free way, or at least, well, you do have to pay for some hardware in order to get the code that allows you to play Stadia. And that is one of the big downfalls. I feel like if they opened up Stadia with a free version and a demo, people would be more obliged to actually try the service instead of now paying like $120 in order to try something that they don't know anything about yet. Yeah, that's just more akin to a closed beta than it is to an actual console or service launch, in my opinion. Anyway, talking about games again, because at the beginning, Google Stadia only had 20 games as launch titles. Now, 20 games, I heard a lot of people say that was not as much as it should have, or they wanted to see more games on the platform, and that 20 games is not enough to make the service work. I have to say one thing, the PlayStation 4 is an immensely popular console at this point, and that too only launched with 20 titles. The thing is, Google launched with 20 titles, most of them have already released a year prior or something, and they had one exclusive, and that is the game Guild. While that is a great game by itself, it's just one game, and the rest is old recycled games basically. Now the PlayStation, they only had 20 titles, but a handful of them were Sony exclusives developed by in-house, well, developers. And that handful of games was something unique to that console, and Google only has one. So I do get why people think that the lineup was not great. Google just hasn't made the initial big impact that it should have aimed for, and it didn't launch a complete product. For example, it didn't launch with features such as crowdplay that allows users to join another player just by clicking a link in their YouTube stream, or the ability to actually stream to YouTube, or, well, a proper working assistant button, or maybe even just a proper way to contact all your friends. Because right now you can only talk to them by starting a chat, but you cannot send them a message in order to ask if they're willing to play something. It's these basic things that are just not included right now. But Google keeps adding these features back into Stadia. For example, it didn't launch with achievements, but they have implemented like a month ago. I have to say, while I did buy myself into basically a live demo of Stadia, the premise works. And while the experience does need some tweaking, it is a great way to play all your AAA titles on virtually and eventually any device. At this moment though, I am reluctant to say that Stadia or any cloud service like it is the future of gaming and that consoles and PC rigs are a thing of the past. A lot has to do with your internet connection, your ISP, your location. It's just not a one-cut answer. Also, I know some of you guys have a data cap, and with Stadia consuming around 20 gigabytes an hour, that might not be the best option for you. So I feel like if Google launched their free version of Stadia, Stadia Base, with a free trial of Stadia Pro, just for people to check out if the service works for them, because they might already be skeptical about the way it works, it would make the leap of faith for new users so much smaller just to try it out. Well, that and only being able to pay with credit card in the Google Store. Because I get it, it's an American company. Americans are used to pay everything or a lot of things by credit card. Please don't hate me on that. Here in Europe, that's just not the case. We just need some PayPal support, Google. So combining all that with the relatively small game library that Google currently has, that does slowly keep expanding, the lack of support on every Android device, that just means that Google has a long way to go in order to become the ultimate ubiquitous gaming service around. The foundation is there, but they should have just manned up and call it as it is, an early access product. So what do you think? Is Stadia going to be able to compete with existing consoles or other cloud services? And if you have Stadia Pro, will you be keeping your subscription active or not? Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please let me know. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. Anyway, I'm gonna go back upstairs because it's freaking cold out here, so see you in the next one.